Hi everyone, my name is Shati Kaur and today I'll present my final project on the course of data visualization and I have selected the topic of health domain, basically mental health data set. In 21st century, mental health is very prominent for both male and female gender, and there are different type of conditions such as depression, anxiety, substance use disorder, bipolar disorders are included in the mental health. Especially after COVID-19 pandemic, mental health is very prominent nowadays, to look into for the health providers, because after examining how it is affecting to people's daily life, health providers can create some policies, or like which countries are more worst sufferer for these mental health disorders, and which genders are more affected, and so on. So I have used Kaggle dataset. The dataset is a mental health dataset. It basically contains total 6 files, from which I have used 3 files, and that I think are mostly correlated for my interest. And the first one is prevalence of depression, male versus female dataset. So this the purpose of this dataset is to analyze gender-based disparity in depressive disorders and provide insights into gender disparities in mental health. The second one is to a dataset name is share with mental or substance disorders by sex. So the purpose of this dataset is to compare overall mental disorders disorder burdens across gender and geography. And the third one is prevalence by mental and substance use disorder. So the purpose of this dataset is to understand the prevalence of multiple disorders across countries and years, such as anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, alcohol and drug use for both sexes. Now let's go into my code. And yeah, so initially I have downloaded the necessary packages. Then I have explored the three data sets so that I can make a combination and a connection between among these three data sets. So I have found that code and year is the common column of these three data sets. So I have done some pre-processing and exploration, and then finally merge these three data sets. So after merging and done pre-processing to drop the null values and duplicate values, I have found this clean data set that has 195 rows and 16 columns. So these are the columns of my interest sector. So I have focused on these 16 columns that are collected from these three data sets. And then finally I have done some interactive visualization that I have learned from my class, that is bar chart, scatter plot, box plot, heat map, then sunburst chart, and geographical map, to show the relation among how these mental disorders are affected among different countries people and different sexes people. So the first one is basically a bar chart, and yeah, you can see that the highest anxiety prevalence is country is Brazil for year 2015, and these are the top 10 populous countries that suffer with anxiety disorder prevalence over time. And you can see that the second country is United States, and so on. And Japan has the lowest anxiety prevalence of top 10 countries. And one interesting country I have found, that is Bangladesh. Basically I am belong from Bangladesh, so it is a very small area. The area is very small, but it's highly populous, and I have found that its anxiety prevalence is almost 3.24%. So it really surprised me. And the second thing I have basically visualized that is the depression rate by female versus male by country and year. So you can see that the scatter plot shows a positive correlation. So female depression and male depression are positively correlated with each other. And you can see that the country India basically, the bubble size means that how the population of the country, and you can see that India has the highest population, and another country that is China has the highest population. And the you can see that the female depression is a little bit higher than male depression, but overall they are positively correlated with each other among different continents. So another one is I have used, that is box plot for anxiety prevalence by continent. So I have found that Europe shows the widest spread of variability in anxiety rates, with several high outliers nearing, you can see that almost 9%. And the highest mean is South Africa. So it consistently shows high anxiety levels across different countries in the region. And then Oceania continent has the lowest or narrowest distribution. Its level is almost mm, lower than 3%. And then Africa and Asia show relatively lower anxiety prevalence. This is Asia and this is Africa. So these two continents shows lower medians. And this continent, this Oceania, has very high outliers for this distribution of anxiety rates. Then I have showed a heat map to visualize the correlation between mental health disorders, and I have found some interesting pattern here. That is the depression of female and depression of male is very highly correlated. You can see that its correlation is 0.85, that is very high. They are positively correlated. And another one is disorder male and disorder female. They are also very highly correlated, that is almost 0.90. So yeah. And another thing is alcohol use. I have found that most of the cases it is not correlated with other factors. Yeah. And then another one is basically sunburst chart I have used. So you can see that top continents, that is Europe and South America, have the highest average prevalence for both anxiety and depression. And then I have found Africa and Oceania. These two countries report lower average prevalence rates across all disorder types. So, but all overall, I have found that anxiety and depression both, they basically dominate this pie chart. This is my final actually geographical plot to show how the whole world's anxiety prevalence correlated with each other. And you can see that the countries like Brazil and Iran, they showed like anxiety prevalence their anxiety prevalence is much higher. You can see that it's almost 7.83%, and for this Brazil it is 7.73%. That actually matches with our previous plots as well. And for countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and like Mongolia, these countries has lowest anxiety prevalence. It can also be happen due to they have low data. And yeah. So according to the data set, it basically shows like this way. And yeah. So you can see that like there is a regional pattern, like high prevalence clusters are visible in Latin America and Western Europe, whether low prevalence dominates Central Asia and Africa. So the darker purple areas represent lower anxiety, you can see that, and the brighter yellow green area represent higher anxiety. Yeah, that's all actually, and that's the overall overview of my final project. Thank you.